Thousands of people took part in annual far-right march in Warsaw to mark Poland's Independence Day, defying a ban imposed by City Hall due to coronavirus restrictions. Planned as a drive through the capital's main roads to circumvent the ban, the march spilled into the street, with police in riot gear using pepper spray to break up sporadic violence along the route. Warsaw Police said on Twitter that several of its officers had been injured. Footage on social media showed flares being hurled at police. Marchers carried red and white Polish flags amidst clouds of smoke from red flares and held up banners that read, quote, "Our civilizations, our rules," unquote. Footage posted on social media showed flames coming from the window of a flat near the demonstrations. A Warsaw Fire Brigade spokesman said the blaze was probably caused by a flare or firecracker and that nobody had been hurt in the incident. The annual event has become a point of frictions between far-right groups and supporters of the nationalist government of Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki on one side and their liberal opponents on the other. Thousands of people protested in Armenia's capital, demanding the Prime Minister's resignations after he signed an agreement with Azerbaijan to halt weeks of fighting over Nagorno-Karabakh that calls for Armenian territorial concessions. The rally, organized by opposition parties in Yerevan, reportedly drew up 10,000 people. Some clashed with police and many were detained and released later in the day. Demonstrators chanted, quote, "Nikol, go away, Nikol the traitor," unquote, referring to Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan as opposition's politicians gathered signatures for an emergency parliament meeting to consider his dismissal. The unrest was triggered by a Moscow-brokered truce Armenia and Azerbaijan announced early Tuesday after more than 6 weeks of deadly clashes over Nagorno-Karabakh. Opposition lawmakers announced that they have gathered enough signatures to call an emergency parliament session to consider ousting Pashinyan. Russia's Sputnik V vaccine is 92% effective at protecting people from COVID-19, according to interim trial result, as Moscow rushes to keep pace with Western drug makers in the race for short. Russia's results are only the second from a late-stage human trial, following on swiftly from data released on Monday by Pfizer and BioNTech, which said their shot was also more than 90% effective. While experts said the Russian data was encouraging and reinforced the idea the pandemic could be halted by vaccines, they warned that the results were only based on a small number of trial volunteers who had contracted COVID-19. The analysis was conducted after 20 participants developed the virus and examined how many had received the vaccine versus a placebo. That is significantly lower than the 94 infections in the trial of the vaccine being developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. The first effective coronavirus vaccine can prevent more than 90% of people from getting COVID-19, a preliminary analysis shows. The developers, Pfizer and BioNTech, described it as a, quote, "great day for science and humanity," unquote. The vaccine has been tested on 43,500 people in 6 countries and no safety concerns have been raised. The companies plan to apply for emergency approval to use the vaccine by the end of the month. No vaccine has gone from the drawing board to being proven highly effective in such a short period of time. There are still huge challenges ahead, but the announcement has been warmly welcomed, with scientists describing themselves smiling ear to ear and some suggesting life could be back to normal by spring. Also, whenever a vaccine does arrive, initial supplies will be scarce and rationed, with priority likely to be given to healthcare workers and others on the front lines. Pfizer has estimated that 50 million doses of its 2-shot vaccine should be available globally by the end of 2020, which could cover 25 million people.